Hello, third grade. Guten Morgen. We are back from our official spring break, even though it feels like we've been on break for quite some time. I am going to start us off again with lesson 93 for your math instructional video today. Some of you I know have worked ahead a little bit. That's fine, but we're going to stick with one video a day. It's going to be uploaded each morning at 9 o'clock to our YouTube channel. So today we're doing lesson 93. This is going to cover, we're going to use rounding to estimate the solution to multiplication and division problems, and then determine the reasonableness of an answer. And if this sounds like it's familiar to you, if you're getting a little bit of deja vu, yep, we've done this before. We just like to revisit some of those objectives every time that we add new skills to our multiplication and division. Like at the beginning of the year, we were doing this with addition and subtraction. Then we were doing this with single digit multiplication, then single digit division. Now we're into double and triple digit multiplication and division answers. So we're going to revisit this objective again so that we can apply it when we have more information and it makes it a little bit more complicated. So, for example, I'll give you a couple multiplication, a couple division answer or examples. So if we have, let's say 45 times 31. There's a multiplication problem, 45 times 31. When we are estimating, remember estimate means a guess, but we want it to be an educated, reasonable guess. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to round these numbers. So round, remember, think of a 0 as a round digit. It looks like a circle. So I want to have numbers that end in 0. So when I look at 45, I'm rounding to the nearest 10. So I want to look at the number in my ones column. If it is a 5 or higher, remember, I go up. So I'm going to round 45 to 50. That 4 is going to go up to 5, and then it's going to be a 0 for every place value after that. 31, if I'm rounding to the tens column, 3's in the tens column, I'm going to look at my ones column, that's a 1. That is less than 5, so I'm going to round down. Remember, rounding down means that number stays the same. I just replace everything after it with 0. So I'm not going to change that 3 to a 2. I'm going to leave it a 3 and change the 1 to a 0. So now, instead of 45 times 31, I have 50 times 30. Estimate. Now I can do mental math for this because I know my fact timing. So I know that I'm going to have 2 zeros in my answer right away. And then I'm just going to do 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15 with those 2 zeros on the end. So 50 times 30 is 1,500. So I know that 45 times 31 is probably going to be pretty close to 1,500. It's an estimate. It's not the exact number, but let's find out what the exact number would have been. So I'm going to do my ones column first. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. I love that identity property. It makes my ones column super easy. I had nothing to carry over. I'm going to cross off my number in my ones column and put a 0 in the placeholder in my ones column on bottom. Now I'm looking at my tens column digit. 3. 3 times 5 is 15. We already did that over here. So I'm going to put a 5 in my tens column. I'm going to carry a 1 over. 3 times 4 is 12, but I've got that 1 that I carried over. 12 plus 1 is 13. Now I'm going to add 5 plus 0, easy. 4 plus 5, 9. And then I've got a 3 and a 1. So 13 or 1,395, very close to 1,400. When I'm talking into the thousands, 1,395 is relatively close to 1,500. It's pretty close. It's an estimate. It's not an exact answer. We're going to try one with division. All right, so let's say I have 157 divided by 8. So 157 is my dividend, 8's my divisor, but I want to use round numbers that are going to be easy for me to do mental math with. Now I'm going to look at these numbers and say, hey, do I need to change everything? Should I round everything? Or is there an easier way that I could do this? I could say, hey, 8 is above 5, so I'm going to round that to a 10. And I could say, I'm going to round that to a 200 because 57 is over 5. It's over 50, it's over the middle point. So I could say I'm going to round that up. So if I had 10 divided by 200, I'd end up with 20 for my quotient. Let's see if we can get, though, a closer answer to the exact answer. I can also say, you know what, maybe I don't want to round to the nearest hundreds. Maybe I want to see if there's an easier way to do it. Maybe I don't have to round every single digit. 157, very, very close to 160. It's only 3 away. If I rounded this to 160, I might look at my divisor 8 and say, you know what? I don't think I need to change that because what do I see here? I see 16. 16 is a multiple of 8. So I could do this with mental math. I could say, what's 16 divided by 8? 16 divided by 8 is 2. And then just add my 0 on the end. Easier way to do it without having to round both numbers. I still got the same estimate. Let's find out, though, what the exact number would have been. Remember, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, bring back, check your work. So I'm going to set this up in a division box. I've got 157 and 8. 8 cannot be divided into 1. 1 is smaller, so I'm going to put a 0 for my placeholder. Remember, we're not going to try and do mental math and skip things and do multiple digits at the same time because we just started long division this year. So I'm going to go through all of my steps, even though I've got a 0 here, and I know the 0 property means everything's just going to be 0 and brought down. So 0 times 8 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. I'm going to bring down my 15. Or my 5, so I've got 15 now divided by 8. 8 can only go into 15 one time. It's so close to 16, but it's not there yet. So I'm going to put a 1 in my quotient above the 5. 1 times 8 is 8, identity property. 15 minus 8 is 7. Now I'm going to bring down the 7. And I'm going to say, oop, this isn't going to go in exactly even. So I'm going to say, what's the closest multiple of 8 to 77? So I'm going to put a 9 up here because 9 times 8 is 72. Subtract it. 77 minus 72 is 5. 19, remainder 5. So very, very close to that 20 that I estimated. Now, on your worksheet, I should have showed you the worksheet at the beginning so you knew what I was working on right now. That's been a couple of days since I recorded a video. So on your worksheet, it says reteaching 93. You have a spot where you can fill in what numbers you are rounding to. So like in number 1, 48 and 22. There's a spot for you to write down, what did I round 48 to? What did I round 22 to? What was my estimate after I did the mental math? And then there's a spot for you to figure out what the exact answer was so that you can see how reasonable your estimate was, because that's the second part of the objective. We don't want numbers that don't make any sense. It wouldn't make sense for me to round 48 to 70, and I'm going to say 22, that's close enough to 10. That would give me a completely unreasonable answer. So there's a spot for you to figure out what your exact answer is as well so that you can see how close your guess was. There's 2 multiplication problems, 2 division problems, but technically it's double because you're doing the estimate and then you're doing the exact answer. So there's 8 problems on this worksheet. This is going to be scheduled to automatically upload at 9 a.m. on Monday, and then I will have some time that you can schedule for video chats. If you have questions, you can also put questions in the comments. I'll respond when I'm able to, and I am working on figuring out some text so that we can do some group meets with our class as well, and then possibly I'm still trying to figure out the whole live video instruction thing. I felt like it didn't work out so well when I tried it last week, but we will see how that goes.